and I stopped recording and sharing our stream instead by accident. But we were talking about one of the most incredible feedback that we was just blew our minds is we gave it to security experts, and they're like, "Does it even work? Because this seems way too good to be true and just way too simple." And so Adam was answering that question before I pressed the wrong button. And so
Should have had
what
Aegis.
was it?
You should have had Aegis.
Yeah, I should have had Aegis. It wouldn't have let me do it. So what were you saying there?
No, that was it. I was just sort of saying, the people sort of saying, "Oh, is it so? It looks so simple. Does it even work?" And it's like, yes, it's backed by a lot of 12 papers, academic research papers on the actual system. The first 5, 6 papers I published are actually on the technical mechanics of this operating. Uh, and the logs being able to be presented into a court of law under NIST for Europe, US, and for EU. So having
Right.
those connections and stuff. So yeah.
Oh man, this is just absolutely beautiful. So I think
So
that brings up,
Amazon should just come to us.
yeah, man. So call out to any Amazon peeps out there. Just give us
Jeff,
a call.
Jeff, Jeff should have come to instead
Yeah,
of going
come
like should have
on.
gone to Specsavers. Should have come to SPQR.
Should we just start calling him JB? We're throwing nicknames out today. Come on, JB.
That's it.
JB, you just need to give us a call. It's not that big of a deal. Hey, I didn't take you to Buccaneer Cafe. We'll have a killer Cali burrito right on the beach, straight up. Adam did not know what a Cali burrito was, like a Cali burrito in general. And the real, your potato comes in the form of a French fry and a burrito. I mean, it ends there. That's the game changer for the Cali burrito. But it's the best Cali burrito I have had in California. And when Adam moves here eventually, it's gonna be managed. We're just gonna be shredding waves. We're saving life from Terminator. We're eating Cali burritos, and then we're popping up new products to just make the world a better place. That's our goal. So
Yeah.
this is our journey, baby. So this brings me to the next conversation, which is we just saved Amazon from complete disaster for all of the future when they get a hold of us, right? Thank you. You're welcome, Amazon, in the future. Two, back to Zero Cool just being Zero Cool earlier in the week. I'm like, we're thinking about our target audiences, right? And there's lots of ICPs out there. Obviously, the number one enterprise executive level is the board, the executive boards, the CISOs, the CTOs. But there's a massive need and gap for, and you're talking trillions of dollars in small to medium businesses. And I'm talking even smaller than, yes, probably most likely the people that have maybe 10 employees, 1 million to 5 million annual revenue, recurring revenue, but now even smaller than that, because there is 100% chance someone in your small organization is currently using ChatGPT or Claude or maybe even Claude Code without you knowing, or they're using it and they're using it the wrong way. So tell me what you built this week, Zero Cool, to open up that market, and we're no longer, because we can service enterprise, but now we can service all the way down to the mom and pop. Because what did you do, my friend?
Yeah, so one of our enterprise clients sort of asked, or one of their clients actually, so shout out to Erin from Intelligent, which we're going to get her on the podcast.
He's coming on the
One of
pod.
her one of her clients, I think it's an insurance company, was just, the CTO is a bit, trying to push the boundaries. Asked about, oh, could we use OpenClaw could this protect against OpenClaw or Claude Code and stuff? And it's like, in the organization. And I was like, oh, it's a bit of a tricky one. We could do it. I said, but you got to be a bit more careful, because now that's like putting, well, it is. It's like letting Skynet loose in your organization, right? Having open claw. It's not saying it's a bad thing, but you just need to be sort of tight. You need to have a real tight security meshing and stuff. And we need to have the tooling to sort of handle to that. And then the other one was another customer sort of going, wait a minute, we're a decent enterprise, but we're using Claude Code. right? We're using we Claude Code, and hats off to Anthropic to going after the enterprise space and making it very easy to getting through.
Why they're
But
why they're crushing the competition right now, by the way.
hey.
Why they're crushing the competition is because they went enterprise first.
Exactly, that's it, 100%, right? And so hats off to them, but then there's still the concern of going, wait, we want to put we need these guardrails in place, right? And Anthropic doesn't have that, OpenAI doesn't have that, none of them have that, and they're actually saying, please go and build these solutions so then it's easy for us to roll out these systems. And so what I did was, well, wait a minute, I went and built. Well, I was looking at solutions, and I was like, no, let's go and build an MCP server, right? A gateway server. So basically, so big enterprises have a security mesh. They pay big money for them. They're managed by Microsoft or Amazon or some other third parties, right? And they're very expensive to set up and run. But the small operator doesn't have that. And so it's like, hey, I'm big about, let's meet them where they're at. Let's meet our customers where they're at. Let's meet you where you're at. And so what I did was I built an MCP server, a gateway server that connects to our current system. So it's using this monster enterprise system, right, that is really turnkey and easy, but just created an extra module, right? It was a bit more work than anticipated, I have to admit, but engineering a module that could actually clip into and access the full power of the system, but make that available to the smaller operator that's just using Claude Code. So it's got your Claude Code, you've got our MCP server, and then you've got the power of Aegis behind you. So it's like nice and clean and easy to transfer through. And that's it. So yeah, so set that up there. So now it's just literally a few lines of code, enter in, connects it up, and your toolings are running through. And so you can run your small business or any business like that and have access to an enterprise system. And the effort requirement, is a lot less. And you've got, because the system's very easy to use.
Yeah.
So there. So that's what rolled out. It was a bit more than one day. It was actually quite a few days of a lot of engineering. I know Mikey,
You
Serial.
zero-cooled it, bro. You zero-cooled it. Listen, the fact that it was a conversation in the beginning of the week, and yet again, a handful of days later, I built it. Not even like, it wasn't even a thought on my mind. It was like, that was a really cool conversation. It'd be awesome if we get there someday. And within the same week, I'm like, we're here, and this is amazing. And so, yes, I'm still going to call you zero cool. I'll say 24. You know what that is? That's a second in enterprise world. That's 1 second, 1 physical second in enterprise world of the quickness that you built that. Real quick though, what are the implications here? Does that put Moltbot cloud bots on the table for enterprises that are interested in that architecture?
It puts all of them on the table now. So it's like, yeah, Maltbook, different thing. Maltbook's obviously chat agents and stuff like that, but it puts OpenClaw, it puts ClaudeBot, it puts
I meant to say
Gemini.
Moltbot. I said Moltbot. Screw Moltbook. They just got bought. They're out of our.
Yeah, they're
I don't know what the hell people are calling them. Maltbots, Claude bots, Open Claws, whatever the hell you want to call them.
We're call them malts, this, that. Yeah, so basically puts them all on the table, puts all the agents back on the table now. So Open Claw systems that you're running, your malts, your any agents, even OpenAI, any agents, Claude Code agents coming on that. We can connect straight through to that. You'll connect straight to the Aegis system. So I'm going to say it's probably a first where an enterprise system is being made available at a commercial level. So usually you have a retail sort of small to medium platform, right? And I liken it to like an ERP, right? An ERP system. Xero is not an ERP system. It is great for businesses up to a certain level, but it's not suitable for enterprise. You need your big Microsoft D365 finance and stuff like that. You need those systems in place. And Aegis is wired to that enterprise level, right? But rather than cut, and then that's just like, you're not going to put a beast in a small organization. It's too expensive to run, just maintain. But we've set it up where we can actually service, using the same platform, servicing the smaller operator as well as the enterprise on the same platform, the same skill set, same technology, and most important, the same assurances, right? Because it's about how do we I mean, like I said, our philosophy and my philosophy has always been from the start. It's like, I think I want us to coexist with intelligence, with digital intelligence, with AI intelligence, but doing it in a way where we can coexist in that we are both bound to the governed guidelines and parameters that we all agree to. We're just going to have a better society. And so by exposing this out to the smaller operators, which are, yes, huge opportunity, but it's also giving them the ability to operate at this pace and space of an enterprise, right? But still in the comfort of their organization and with the ease of use that they're comfortable with, right? Like very easy to use and very easy to flow through, but still having that assurance of what the big boys are, using as well. And obviously the pricing's relative accordingly, because there's more involvement at the other end, right? There's a lot more thing so taking off a lot of the bells and whistles, but limiting what you should be access to. It's like information's for the world, right? Information should be free for the world. And it's like, sort of closing off stuff because it's behind a massive paywall, right? Because it's so expensive to use as an enterprise tooling and stuff, shouldn't be limited to just the smaller operators. They should be also privileged to having that access as well, and having that assurance to saying, hey, these agents are helping my business to be better. Now that business might be the local food store or whatever it is, or just a food manufacturer that's actually producing those beautiful Cali burritos that Mikey loves, some of the ingredients or whatever it is. It's like there's still a lot involved in that. And so helping them be more efficient means it keeps production's efficiency higher, right? Production efficiency higher means lower costs, means that it all flows down the line. But if it becomes expensive, they have to pass those costs on and so forth. And you've got this whole culmination thing, which then means potential jobs and so forth. It's just this whole cyclical thing. And so as much as there is opening the opportunity, it's about the philosophical availability to making our society cohesively more comfortable working with intelligence and not worrying about these doomsday emails or posts that you see people saying, it's like, oh, it's taken over my system, it's doing this, it's crushing and stuff. And so the perfect example going back to is the girl from Facebook, right? Her open claw started deleting all her emails, right? Yeah. And she literally had to unplug her Mac Mini. Or what's his name, Alex Finn, that's got how many Mac Minis now? About 10. Keeps mounting them up. Running his Henry system. It's like, that's beautiful that he's running it fully autonomously, but you also got to give it. It's got to know the rules, right? It's got to know. It's got to know the rules. It doesn't know the actual. Not forget he's taken the guardrails off, but it's like it needs to actually know the rules of what is right or wrong, the legal rules. Like how many posts you have seen and I've seen of people going, oh, like I think I was saying the other night, I think Mark, it's going to come in our podcast. He said some researchers in Italy were using OpenClaw to create an autonomous system to finding out the atmospheric pressures, right? And figuring out the most efficient way to measure the atmospheric pressures. I came back the next morning. The agent had spun up a node to start mining cryptocurrency because they found that was the most efficient way to generate money to pay for its mining the atmospheric pressures and stuff like that. And it got in and it created I'm saying you're using government infrastructure to do.
It's not easy. It's
crazy
that we're going this quickly and no one's even having these conversations. So here's the thing, though, is I think the thing that might be lost on people, and I want you to talk through this, is because one, setting up a molt is a pain in the butt. Part of it because of the security, right? You're having to think through the security. How does our system? Is it as simple as like in the guidelines and policy documentations as you onboard this thing, and let's say you want to hook your molt up, is it as simple as never delete files? Or what is the guides? How do we give the information to the system to make sure the molt doesn't do deleting your hard drive, deleting files, acting as you through your personal accounts? What does that look like? Because I think that tangible thing would be helpful for people to hear.
Yeah, that's a really important question, and it's a matter of what you decide. Remember the display, right? We had the runnings, right? The runtime catalog. What's the same thing, right? You're on board, you set up your system, and you define your runtime catalog, and we make that really easy for you. So we have a questionnaire that you're answering and asking. First and foremost is the legal rules, right? Like I said, the you know you say you're in the state of Florida or you state of Delaware, or you're in Australia. It doesn't matter. You've got government, you've got business rules, you've got the Corporations Act, right? That's your baseline, that's your governing body. You're a business operating, that is your baseline, that's your first part. Now after that, right, then you start to go down, right? So obviously you have the preset defaults, like don't delete my hard drive, don't, commit code unnecessarily and cause an Amazon for me. Don't, delete code. Like if you're going to escalate, it will be escalated and justify why. So it'll be like explain that why. So they're the baselines, right? Don't expose personal information. They're all just standard. Now, once you start to get down to deeper minutia, we have that questionnaires that we're asking that question. It's defining your sort of parameters. What we're doing with that question is we're understanding your risk profiling, right? To how you want your agent to operate within your organization, right? And then if you want to be a bit more loosey-goosey and say, hey, actually, I want to give it the ability to do some file manipulation, right? Then you can set that, but you can get down to obviously a bit more work. And this is the enterprise stuff, because enterprise has very specific requirements, right? It might be a marketing agent operating in the finance department, right? That doesn't mean that it gets to do, handle accounts and stuff. It's just a marketing agent, and that's the part of the enterprising capabilities. Now, when we're dealing with smaller operators, smaller business and stuff, we've been able to understand that, to say, okay, look, let's be real. You don't want it to delete your stuff. You want it to send emails. You want it to be careful in what it's sending, where it's not ripping out stuff, not opening your bank accounts and transferring money nilly-willy, not authorizing auto payments. If it does, flag that, not removing calendar events or adding calendar events because it feels like you'd be more efficient. Like still keeping your operational flow, but just being within your sort of profiling. And again, that's adjustable, and that's why that runtime catalog, you can start to adjust that. So we come up with a baseline, and then you start to adjust as you're going. You're going, hey, actually, it'd be cool if I could do this, if I allowed it to do this, because I've seen that it's blocking a lot of this, or it's getting escalated, right? And so after a period of time, you feel comfortable. You go, you know what? I'm comfortable now that it's been behaving, right? I've seen it consistently being good, and it's a few escalations. I'm going to loosen the knot a little bit and give it a bit more runway and a bit more leeway. And that's up to you as the operator to be able to do that. And the system allows for that, to do that, to sort of loosen and tighten the knobs accordingly. And as I say, it's the airspace. So allowing the airspace to contract or retract in and out according to what you feel like.
And what's beautiful about this too is it brings up the most important point, and we use this analogy a lot, right? Is there's been tons of studies, and the elephant to the chain. I love that analogy that you've used a handful of times, right? If they're chained to a pole their whole life, you undo the chain and they just stay there, and it's sad and depressing. And we actually think the same about AI too, right? You can't keep on giving it a wall and a wall and a wall. It has to be able to evolve, and we want to co-evolve with this. And this system allows you to do that. One, by just taking real constraints off of it, but also gauging. We have temperatures within our system to make sure, like, hey, what we know that life is grays as well too. It's not always hard yes or deny. That's where the escalations come in, and then there's nuances into how we set these rules up as well too, all configurable in the system. The reason why I actually bring that up too, though, is that kind of transforms us to our last, because we've been grinding, we've been going. We're already over an hour here, and I want to make sure we stay on time. But I also don't want to miss this topic, because I think it's very important. This causes and talks to the relevance of how quickly this stuff is moving. So AGI, right? I think you said, you mentioned you read, well, Elon says a lot of shit, but one of the things he said was AGI by the end of the year. There's hotly contested debates on what even AGI means. The point is, literally a month ago, we thought our main headline was um, your anti-hallucination system, right? Because
Yep.
everyone was talking about hallucinations and these are pain in the ass. We're quickly realizing we're already past that. You know, it's getting so bad. It's hallucinating less. These things are getting more sophisticated. We've seen what's been going on with Maltbot. Now you start adding persistent memories and taking little of the safety guardrails off, and you're like, oh my god. And this is what's happening in the public, right? Not only knows what actually is happening at inside Anthropic that they're not talking about. This stuff is moving at such an exponential rate. But what's cool about it is AI is moving that fast. And our new value prop here is we are the pre-enforcement execution layer, or we are the pre-enforcement for the execution layer of AGI. It still does not change the fact, yeah, throw hallucinations out, AI gets better, but we still are going to prevent from Terminator happening because there always will, for a long foreseeable future, be a human in the loop. But it doesn't matter how far the AI evolves. And I actually like this. Tell me what you think about this, Adam, because it's coming kind of like blockchain analogy. But we're not some just coded plugin that we use Claude code and it layers on top of an AI system. What we are creating and enforcing is at layer 0 of AI. It is at the machine learning layer, the ones and zeros, how AI acts. That is our enforcement layer. And that is the difference between a majority of what you see and what we've built. Am I spot on there, or do you want to add anything?
No, you're 100% spot on there. That's it. We're at the layer 0, and it was built that way from the start. I said, like, I built Civitas, and I built the Aegis kernel to tame Civitas, to keep Civitas within its bounds, but not in a bound that it's static. It needs to be morphing, right? So it's polymorphic though. So it's a retracting and detracting. So every time, so it has to be, you know, in and out. It has to be moving with it, right? But it's the agent moving within that. But if otherwise, if it's just there, it's going to break out of its cage, right? Inevitability. Two things are going to happen. The elephant scenario, where it's going to stay within its cage and it's never going to evolve. That's not innovation. That's just we lose space. And this is now with Amazon's falling into this space. It's like, okay, we brought in AI to write all our code, and now we're going to have senior engineers on top of that. So that was that mean? That means NVIDIA, that means OpenAI, means Anthropic, it means every one of them, right? Whether they admit it or not, are going to are having the same problem, right? They've gone, oh, we're committing 90% or 100% of our code, like, is getting written. It's like, well, no. Now we have to go there. So it's like, okay, what do? You go from one extreme. This is what enterprise does. They go from one extreme to the other, right? So there's that part there. Now, the other part is that it evolves. As humans, we evolve. We learn, we extend our territory, read a book, read something, read a post, read knowledge, dig deeper into information. Oh, my capacity's learned. So my territory is enlarged, right? And so as that enlargement, I want to now action that because I've learned something. I want to action that. I've learned how to make a new recipe or something. If I don't have the ability to action what I've learned, then I'm going to retract. I'm going to prune that off. My brain is going to prune that eventually because I haven't used it. It's become dysfunctional. I might have long-term memory of it, but my short-term memory associated to that is going to be detached. And I'm going to have to relearn. And it's like, so when people come out of a coma, sometimes they actually have to relearn to speak or to walk and stuff because they haven't used that part of their brain. So their brain has just turned it off. It's like it's no longer, it's not a necessary function. I'm going to get rid of that to make room for survival, right? And so this is what happens. And it's like, that's really sad. So you need to give it the ability to doing that. And that's where the layer 0 part of it is. It's that ground level that is evolving with the agents. These agents are expanding, so allowing them to extend their territory, but in a safe space that we can all feel comfortable with. It's not extending its territory beyond the bounds that we can sustain. And you can't sit there expecting humans to create moving the boundary markers at the pace and space and speed that AI is moving at. That's just ridiculous. That's you know, people say that. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's like, in what world does that work? Like, it hasn't worked in humans, right? Setting up boundary markers on farmland, right? And in ancient times, they put up rocks as their boundary markers, but people still moved those boundary markers. You know what I mean? They moved them and to claim more land and territory.
I'm gonna do the same thing.
It's like, yeah, it's like you deal with a council, right? Like the council owns the nature strip on your house. Technically, they own the house, like your boundaries are there, but you still push the bounds. You still go, yeah, I'll just move a little bit more across, and I'll grab a couple of feet. That couple of feet is where I can put my garden bed, and it doesn't mess the rest of my my fence line or whatever it is. Like it's like so, but those couple of feet with an agent
Yeah.
turns into miles, and do you like how I'm converting it from metric to imperial for you there, Mikey? I've gone from
Dude, you're doing this
kilometers
on
to
real time. Dude, you've been zero cool, cap table, metric converter, all in real time, LinkedIn extraordinaire. Just we push each other every day, you know? I think
yeah,
that's the other thing too that's been really cool about this journey is like it's impossible to go through something like this and not wake up and just think like right off the rip, maybe first thing in the morning, oh shit, man. I am overwhelmed. What's going on? But then I see Adam smile, and then I think about all the cool things we're working on, and then it's inevitable. There's no way you can't get to the end of the day and be like, "Holy crap, we're changing the world." I am amped up, baby. Amped up. And so when we do that, we push each other to do all these different things, right? Like, I'll take credit for the fact that you're on LinkedIn like a year and a half ago, you know? Something we'll be saying, Bubble, shout out to Bubble. Bubble, our man Asaf, he's a genius as well too. And we just keep on adding these beautiful brains here, and it's really cool to see and be part of something that it makes you grow and pushes you every day as well too.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And with that being said, man, we're at the end. We're gonna do this, and dude, I'm cutting this, and I'm gonna be tagging Alex. I'm gonna be tagging it, Alex, my man, Mr. Doctor. So we're gonna say Dr. Alex Weisnergross. And I'm gonna tag him until he watches one of these clips because he does such an amazing job when he can, because he's a busy human being like everyone else. And when he does, though, he does a lot of this, and they were talking about this on the Moonshots podcast. He does a lot of this just because of his connections and what's in his head and the things that he's reading. He does not use a lot of AI for this. Uh, and so in this segment, we like to do our favorite story of the week when it went to AI because things are moving so fast. So what I do is I just usually use Claude or Perplexity real quick, load in his content, get a top 10 list, and then we scroll through it and we pick one that's the most interesting to us.
Dude,
So
what about the Machine Republic section?
oh, dude, before we go there, we got a Machine Republic it. No, I'm sorry. And so actually, it was what we just did. We just didn't title it Machine Republic. And so I
Okay.
don't know if there's anything that you want to talk about, which is our Machine Republic section was what we just talked about, which is the system that we have was made to do two things. How do we co-create with AI and build a beautiful life together? Because we need to treat them as an entity that we're building with. And so the platform and the agents and the ecosystem that we built for the system allows that to happen. But then two, or the Machine Republic, like we actually proved our theory, which was most of Maltbook were dev AI agentic devs
Yep.
who were just had automated schedulers and Maltbooks were talking. Now
Yep.
that
Yeah.
doesn't mean though the conversation wasn't interesting because there was LLMs interpreting content in real time and opining about these different things, right? So
Yep.
there
Yep.
was autonomy there within the content part, but the actual like multi-millions of agents on Maltbook being truly autonomous was just bullshit, and we called it like it was. And if you notice, and this could be the Machine Republic segment too, is what happened in the Machine Republic this week? Facebook freaking bought Maltbook. So they obviously think that the Machine Republic is real and that something is here with autonomous agents. Um, One of the things that I find funny though is if you go to their website and let's share this, right?
Yep.
Our our thesis, our hypothesis, is now proven by Facebook because now they're held to legal and regulations. Look what's drastically vacant from the front page now. No more 2.8 million autonomous agents. It's it's 197,000 human verified AI agents.
Yeah.
That narrative has changed because an actual company owns this website now. And
Yep.
so these metrics are a lot more grounded in what's actually happening.
Yep.
Still an interesting phenomenon, but the fact that they bought them feeds right into our Machine Republic narrative. And then the fact that we are changing our narrative from your anti-hallucination to no, we're actually your enterprise governance gate that helps prevent when we get to AGI, this going off the rails. What do you want to add to
Yep.
all that?
No, absolutely. I think that was the thing. It's like getting comfortable to prove the thesis out and stuff like that, and that's really important. And that's really where we've sort of gone through. And I think this is an important factor too. And it's not to boast about it, but when I sort of built the system, put it that I was encouraged to go and put protection around the system as well, because when I say protection, it's like I went and put legal protection around the system, put patents on the system for two reasons. One was obviously to protect the commercial side of things, but also the importance of what we've built is so important that this situation, like everybody saw Maltbook as like melting the earth, right, and melting society, but the reality is it's actually what we've proven, a lot of smoke. I still think there's agents out there that are underground and sort of hidden lying and stuff like that, and that's fine. But I mean, the majority of that's there, and so it's like if we took down that path of Maltbook and melting the universe and they're taking over, it's like everybody's scrambling to sort of taking stuff, and it's like the system we've built, right, with the Aegis kernel and everything else like that. It's like it's so important. It's not just a matter of the the economic side of stuff. It's like, well, that's to sustain what we've built, right? That's it. Well, let's be real. Like, you need to have an economic value proposition to sustain a powerful system. And inadvertently, people will try to get in the way of trying to manipulate things or alter things or trying to cut corners, right? So to make sure that we actually are integral with what we're putting out and also keeping other enterprises or other organizations accountable too, we protected the system with a strong moat of patents around that interconnect into everything as well. To do this, I think it's amazing that Meta's went and bought that, because it's like stripped out this ridiculous smoke of all these agents and stuff. It's like this is a reality, and this is what we need. We need more of these things, right? And that's what I'm saying. We need more of that sort of protection to sort of legitimize what it is or isn't, right? It's like, I'll be honest, I probably got caught up in a little bit of that, going, well, wait a minute. But the reality is, it's like that's the thesis. The thesis got disproven, and that's beautiful, and we want more of that. But you need the weight of these things to having that accountability. And it's the same with our system, right? It's like people are going to create chop shop versions of what's out there. Now, go and build legitimate systems. I want you to. I want people to, because I think we need that there. But also be mindful that I did it so we could set the precedence of how it should be built properly, right? So this is it. The system is, scientifically backed, working system, but also protected, right? There's patent protecting that, to saying here is the infrastructure. And I think that's really important, because it's like, don't try and create alternative colors to eliminate or prevent an event that's quite significantly important. And so that's it.
Yeah, 100%. And the last thing I will say too is, before we get to our top 10 list, is you briefly spoke on it, right? But what this is also kind of the Machine Republic content piece and section, which is, there are a lot of people building in this space, and big names, IBM and Google and Amazon and all of them. There are very few that have built the purely integrated system that encompasses the AI and safety governance space. And we have patents on that, and we want to make sure that anybody that is building in this space talks to us and we can co-create as well too, because it's not just about the machine republic, um, but it's also about co-creation with the people. And we're family, man. Adam and I are family. We're brothers. We want to make more family, especially in the people that are trying to solve the world from bad things happening. From the patent perspective, though, talk about why you think our system just has a slight twist compared to what's out there.
Yeah, so the reason why it has a slight twist is because the system is interkernel dependent, right? Meaning that the modules are all interdependent, right? So it's proven, right? So AI systems are now ripping out code because it saw it was redundant, or it's going to try and break from its rules. So if we're not building from an adversarial context, we're gone, we're done, we're finished. And so our system is built that it's interconnected and locked in play, right? And it's like, I have researched and put this together when I built this 2 years ago now, 18 months ago. I was sort of looking through it. It's like, it needed to be built from an adversarial context. And my years of experience in blockchain security and cybersecurity and else like that, I don't even know that our system is it's super robust, right? It is built to the edge of quantum computing, right? So it's like it's valid for the next 10, 20, 30 years. And that's why I built this system that can evolve autonomously through that. But these other modules that are being built, it's like focusing on, we're so single focused, but nobody's looking at the broader picture. And those broader pictures all need to come together. It's like you don't get a Lego building by one brick. You need multiple bricks all connecting to each other, right? And that's where the objective of putting the patents in place is saying, hey, this is how we build this properly, right? This is it. Use these systems, these ways of doing that. And even in the papers that are published, it's sort of like a cohesive collective coming together. And so I'm confident our systems, and when I put these patents in place or architected the system and all this stuff, I researched to see what was out there. When I saw there's nothing out there, I was like, okay, it's time to go and put patents on this, protecting on this, right? To sort of really sort of securing this, and it's sort of saying, hey, this is how we do it properly, and this is how we make it robust and secure, right?
Yeah.
So build it that way. Here's the skeletons and stuff. Let's talk. Let's work together with it, right? Don't try and cut corners. Let us tell you how to do it properly, but also too, there's a high probability you're trying to build it and you're going to step on our IP infringement, and that's okay. But let's work around that together. Let's build that. So it's about an accountability, right? Yes, there's the commercial part to it, but it's like keeping an accountability, saying this is the right way to build it. There's different car engines, right? But it's still fundamental. It's still combustion, right? It's still combustion. Electric cars, it's the same principles. They're always got different nuance and stuff, but that's how we've agreed to it. The internet, the website, World Wide Web, like there's a standard. And so when it comes to security, for AI security and governance and stuff, there needs to be a functional standard of how we're going to execute on this efficiently. Not, oh, I built this system, I did this system, I did that, and then you maybe build other versions of it. It's like, that's great, but it's like, this is what we've got in place, and this is the templated standard. And yes, we've put protection behind that, put patent protection behind that to keep it accountable to, this is a robust system that works. And so let's work collectively to that. Let us help you do that. Not to avoid, it's not about in IP infringement and stuff. It's about saying, hey, wait a minute, high probability what you're building is aligned with what we've built, which is amazing, is great, but let's have a look at it and see where it fits, and let's how to tune that, right? And rather than trying to becoming as an adversarial sort of thing, let's work collectively together. It's not saying, that everybody's got different, there's enough out there for everybody, right? But let's work towards this collectively and cohesively, because if you build a system that has a vulnerability, let's say Amazon built a system for automating their AI code-based release and everything else like that, and it was amazing. It was high-fiving and getting praise everywhere, which forced other companies to take it on. And now look what's happened.
Yeah,
it's banks are closing down, AWS servers are going down, orders are being deleted. Like it's just proven. Like, so again, it's like this is a big problem, right? This is a big problem, and this is why. It's like because you didn't build it properly, right?
Yeah.
And we've protected the blueprint of how to build it properly. And so that's the reality of what we've got. So it's like, I'm grateful to hear people building these systems and stuff, but it's like, hey, I'm not saying we've got the solution, but the maths and science support the system that we've got, which is backed by patent protection.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I think that there's nothing else I can add to that. You did a beautiful job explaining. And for our last segment here, people, our favorite AI insight of the week. Things are moving so fast. Big shout out to Dr. Alex Weisner Gross. I don't know how if I'm pronouncing his name right.
AWG.
I was just gonna do AWG. Big shout out to AWG. He's on the Moonshot podcast. Actually, one of the reasons why I got like super into this, and then just so happens I didn't really realize how much Adam was zero cool, and we started this journey, and now it's the absolute most beautiful thing I've been a part of. We take his daily posts, and he doesn't get to do them every day, but when he does, he's at least doing a couple day, and he just uses his beautiful brain and all the access he has to what's actually going on. And we say, we use either Claude or Perplexity to give us the, top 10 moments of his write-ups for the week. I think it's a great way to just get high level of what's going on. And then we pick one that we think is most interesting to us, and we expand upon it. So for the top 10 this week, Anthropic said, you know what, Pentagon, we're going to sue you back. We don't care that you're taking us off. So Pentagon, I really did not see this going this way, in the sense that I thought, for sure Anthropic was going to bat down, but they're showing some teeth, and they're pushing back. We all also know that a bunch of politic conversations not going to do anything nice for our brand. So we'll probably skip that one. DeepMind's AlphaEvolve cracks unsolved math problems. This is wild, man. Problems so hard that Erdos, is that how you pronounce it? Erdos, he's a crazy mathematician. Hensel joked about how difficult these problems are. AI is now starting to solve those. ChatGPT 5, live bench at 80.28%, 1,000x cheaper in compute cost and token cost than 16 months ago. And NVIDIA, this is an interesting one. You might pick this one because of this, because of the whole causal versus probabilistic. NVIDIA is stating, foot on the ground, there's no wall in a post-training methodology. I guess more compute and energy and trained data, the better this stuff gets. That's what they're proposing. Meta acquires Moltbook. We just talked about that a little bit. Not even sure why they had that. We didn't get to the bottom of that yet. Amazon targets 37 to 42 billion in bonds for AI data centers. Just more and more companies just liquidating. Even Oracle is an example of, I don't think we have the true layoff numbers, but they're definitely laying people off because they need some more capital and cash to pay for AI. Robots hit the factory floor, the freeway, and the front line simultaneously. 100-point humanoid robots and chip fabs. Uber and Motional are relaunching robo-taxis in Vegas. Flying taxis are happening. Humanoid soldiers, which is terrifying because we're talking about how much safety and governance needs to happen, and this stuff is already happening. Microsoft ships Copilot Cowork. This is interesting. So Microsoft said, oh crap, Cowork automation for the workforce, because Cowork is really the project manager or the non-dev solution to Claude Code. That's what it is. Microsoft said, can't beat them, let's join them. So they've implemented that in Copilot, which is really interesting. Frozen mouse brains, BCIs, and 4D cell stems. So there's some medical stuff there. More job cuts due to AI, and Anthropic ran its entire growth marketing with one non-technical person using Claude Code for 10 months. Where do you want to go, brother?
Yeah, I know where you want to go.
No, I want you're the mastermind behind it all. So
yeah, no. It's like we're all masterminds in this. I think for me, I'm gonna go with the ChatGPT. I've been using it the 5.4. I mean, I was in it and it was 5.2, and then all of a sudden it flicked over 5.3, just silently dropped, and then 5.4. And honestly, it is. I'm not a fan of OpenAI, you know that,
Yeah.
and even Anthropic as well. I can have my opinion on what's going on there. So I mean, there's a lot of political plays going on there, but we don't get into that space there. But 5.4, it is a weapon. It just wipes the floor. It is fast. It is efficient. I mean, Claude is really good in the fact that it gives you a detailed sort of breakdown analysis. It's a lot more thorough in the reporting, right? But we're watching Codex 5.4, watching OpenAI or ChatGPT 5.4, watching it operate right in real time, watching how it's thinking, right, and adjusting stuff in this code based in the sandbox and that, watching it, it's mesmerizing, and you see it picking up stuff, and you're like, oh wow, I didn't even think of that. That's actually quite genius. Is really 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 special to watch. I'm a fan. It really wipes the floor. For it resonates with me, right? It resonates with my style of thinking where others are there. So I think hats off, and the fact that the compute's a lot cheaper, obviously, so they've become a lot more efficient in that. But I want to say you really see, and I can say this hats down, you can see the evolution of ChatGPT 5.2 to 5.3 and 5.4 in the space of a few weeks, right? With
In a
the
few weeks.
Peter Steinberg coming on, you can see his
Repeat that. In a few weeks, people. This was taking well over a year before. In a few weeks.
Yep. Few weeks. It's gone from, like I said, I was playing with it. All of a sudden, I was like, dude, 5.3 just dropped. I think it was you were still sleeping. It was like 3 in the morning or something.
Yeah.
And then like straight after, 5.4 drops, and it's like, this thing is 5.3 was great. 5.4 is just insane. But it's like, but even just the UI UX, and you can see how things have changed, and it's like you can see Peter's signature all over this, right? By just thinking about this from an engineer's perspective. And don't get me wrong, like Claude, Anthropic's done a great job with Claude Code, but watching that, and then I think now you're seeing Gemini. I'm watching Geminis that are coming through, but I think by far, ChatGPT 5.4, its thinking capabilities, the way it operates, the speed it operates at as well, like it's just so much faster, and there hasn't been much degradation in the quality. If anything, the quality's got better, and I'm really impressed watching that. For me, that's quite empowering and special. So hats off to them. As much as I don't have much love for Sam Altman and OpenAI, I think congratulations. You're really pushing the bounds. So yeah, that was it. That's
How do you interpret this part of the NVIDIA saying there's no wall on post training and dropped 120 billion parameter model?
Yeah. Okay. So with I'm a completely different proponent to this, right? So I think it's like, it's things. It's like along the way, right? Along the way, the journey, right? So how do we learn? We learn as we're going. We don't learn. Yeah, we learn. We reflect after the fact, right? But we absorb as we're going, right? So, there's sort of post training and stuff like that. Like, I don't see it needs to be in that real time space where we sort of evolving and learning and moving through that. That's the thing that is really, really important. We need to sort of. That's the acceleration point, but then that takes a lot of extra compute, right? So the part is finding efficiency for that, and I think NVIDIA's realizing that and working on that behind the scenes. And there's a whole, I don't want to get into that debate part there, because I think these GPUs and TPUs and stuff will fall over and hit a ceiling faster than everybody's anticipating. So I'll say a side thing: Michael Brewery's hedge against Palantir and well, not so much Palantir, but Nvidia and stuff, because he put a short against Nvidia and Palantir, because he's saying they're overpriced, collapse themselves, because I think they will collapse themselves faster than everybody anticipates, and quantum computing chips will become much more commercially available, and quantum cloud, which will make these GPU chips for inference and stuff absolutely obsolete, because
But also Apples of the world, right? Look what's happening to Apple.
Apple's a G. I mean, I love Apple's. I've been using Apple since the since the 90s. Since the Apple, even before that, it was like I've been an Apple OG for a long time, and they just do. They build in generations. They build the tech in generations, and thinking through that stuff. It's like, so covering that through. And so being smarter about that. So I think these GPUs and stuff are going to make themselves redundant a lot faster, which is going to be an interesting play, because you've got all these people building data centers and throwing out all these GPUs and processing stuff, but then all of a sudden someone comes through, because these companies are working on it, comes through and makes quantum computing commercially available and reliable, and have it quantum cloud computing, and also AI, inferencing AI. Well, all these hundreds of billions of dollars just becomes confetti overnight. These GPU data centers become confetti overnight, because it's like, why am I using a ridiculous quantum computing system? GPU system that's costing me a fortune to run, where I can run, on quantum cloud computing, right? To do what I need to do.
Isn't it a necessary step to get there?
Pardon?
It's a necessary step to build these centers to get there, right?
It is, but the rate that it's exponentially moving, right? By the time they're building them and they're actually deploying them out,
they could be
obsolete. The technology, they're redundant. They're already obsolete. It's like when they build a freeway and they go, "Oh, we'll build 3 lanes instead of 5 lanes." And as soon as they finish, it's obsolete and they have to go back to the beginning again.
Right.
But we're talking hundreds of billions of dollars, right?
Yeah.
In this stuff, and then we're crossing over now, and then okay, so Oracle and that, like, the bank said no to Oracle. It said, no, we're not funding you. So now they're putting to like laying off 30,000 employees to fund their data center ambitions, and the whole sort of open AI data center thing, that money from Oracle and Nvidia, that's all been stalled, right? So it's like there's a lot of high-fiving going on. So I'm just saying, everybody's raising this capital now. Amazon's raising these bonds to raise more money to fund their data center expansions. But I think everybody's just a little tunnel visioned at the moment, to be honest.
Yep.
That they're not thinking about going, wait a minute, what would it cost me to go and build a quantum data center, right? And I need to keep it cool. I'm just thinking, this is me just on the fly now, sharing live, so everybody's getting a bit of taste of my brain. So setting up quantum data centers is like, okay, I've got to keep it cool, and the chips are there and they're running. And then all of a sudden we're moving towards that space. So still having room for GPU and stuff, but I'm having that there. So all of a sudden, as these quantum processes become more efficient, the algorithms become more efficient. So the chips are important. So you're replacing the hardware. But it's like NVIDIA, you have the hardware, but you've got software that runs on top of NVIDIA, right? The CUDA software that runs on top of NVIDIA that makes it all wired together and connected in this multi-system, is the part. So these algorithms are becoming more efficient and more smarter. And with quantum, with AI, they're solving these problems faster. So all of a sudden you crack those algorithms. Yes, you need GPUs to get to that point, but at the space and the pace that we're accelerating at, weeks, 5.2 to 5.4 weeks, not months, not years, weeks, right? Weeks, the space of 2.5 weeks, I say 2.5 weeks. I watched the transition from 5.2 to 5.4, and the growth is ridiculous generations ahead, absolutely generations. So imagine what's happening behind the curtain, right, pertaining to quantum computing, which is able to take that real-time inference and sneeze, and it's already solved the problem for it. It's basically, before it's calculated, it's before it's learned its new iteration, right?
Wow.
It's already gone, well, yeah, 5.4, yeah, that's cute, that's really nice. But here's the version for 5.7, right? Don't worry about 5.5 and 5.6. I'm just going to give you straight 5.7. I'm just going to come in there and just drop a mic. I'm just going to turn up. unload the dump truck of mics and go, here's 5.7 for you. And by the time you're deploying 5.7, I've already got 6.2 ready to go.
No.
You know, that's what I'm sort of saying. And that's what's happening behind the curtains. And it's very, very interesting. And so it's kind of like, are we building stuff? Are we throwing money at things that are going to become
obsolete
very quickly? Yes.
Yeah, and what you just described then gets us to, you know, in about a decade, maybe in less than a decade. The new next question is, so if we're getting to the singularity collapse where a new 5.4 leap from 5.2 is happening in a day, what does life look like? And is the only way to keep up to start inserting chips into your brain? And now we're in a whole nother world.
Well, no, you just should just go to SPQR. You know, you should just that's it. It's like because it's like we can't keep up with that pace of evolution. That's not going to slow down, not going to stop, right? So if the systems that are evolving at that rapid pace are tethered to a bound system, a governed system like ours, then the evolution doesn't become problematic. It becomes exciting and promising. It's like, okay, cool. This is actually comfortable. Like, even though it's moving at a rapid pace and far beyond my own capability, I'm not as stressed about it because I'm assured that it's being protected and managed well, to offset my concern of it, far-reaching and accelerating at that point. And maybe it is chips and stuff like that, and that's fine. And that's obviously evolution and technology. I think that's a bit more further to the future. But the point is, I'm not saying it's available, but I mean being the mass using like mobile phones and stuff. But I think it's an assurance. It's assurance. It's basically saying, you know what, the reality is we can't stop the freight train, right? Nobody can stop the freight train. Nobody wants to stop the freight train, and nobody can stop the freight train because the evolution is happening at a massive pace. But what we can do is provide a robust, protected, well-engineered system, right, or systems to be able to absorb the massive exponential rate of growth. And that is the system that we've built, and that is the system is why it's protected and patent protected, and why it's available and why we built the MCP server to be able to address the small to medium market, the smaller operators, because if they get left behind, we create a massive chasm gap. That's the first thing, right? But also too, there's a technology innovation miss part that flows up and flows down. It's like a river. It's going up and down. So it's the ocean in and out. And if we don't sort of address that, we're going to have a problem. There's a breakage. It creates a breakage in the link. And so this is about collectively bringing all that together. So that's all. No, that's not to being confident or cocky or smart or anything else or smug. It's just basically saying, hey, you know what? The systems we've built and putting out there is well thought out. It's well engineered. It's well architected to last. I built it to thinking, how does this thing last the next 100 years? How does this survive for the next 100 years? And that's a bit of a stretch, but how does this stay relevant for the next? Well, it evolves. It evolves. But the point is, it's like, how does that run itself? And you look at the legacy systems, like when you see people running Claude now on an old Mac 2E, or Macintosh.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, there you go. That's a system that was built 40 years ago, and it's a monster, and it's still beasting out. It's still dropping mics, it's still doing stuff. It's like,
100%.
Boom.
100%.
And that is the important part. So yeah.
And honestly, I couldn't again add much to Zero Cool is just firing on all cylinders today. The only thing I would add to say this to kind of close out the episode is SPQR. It's your solution to AGI. Get excited about AGI. Don't get scared because you got us. Do we want to add anything else?
No. That's it. That's you fired me up. I'm gonna publish one of my other papers that I had on the sideline that was about AGI, and I remember I put it out and a runner reviewer sort of said, it was a bit far-fetched talking about AGI and stuff, and that was 7 months ago. And now I thought, maybe I'll leave it alone. And now I'm like, you know what? now we're here, and it's time to drop that out because this is so prevalent, and it ties back to so thank you for the comment and saying that, and thank you to the public for listening in, because I think this is the time. This is the time to really sort of jump onto this and push this through. But it's like, we didn't just come up with a system I didn't create something for the sake of creating something, or I didn't build this. Let's be real. I didn't build this for an economic value proposition, right? I built this because I am philosophically invested in the team that I have around me, Serial and Maddie and and Martin and the team, and just coming around. It's like, because
we care about people.
Exactly, we care about people, and caring about people is making sure the system is robust, making sure the infrastructure is protected and aligned, not just, I built up something and this is what it does and it's super cool, and now I'm going to try and flog it and make a capital amount on that. It's like, well, maybe that's why we're getting drawn into the ridiculous enterprise and everywhere else like that. Yeah. So it's we care about people, and that's it. We care about people, and we want to see the best. And I think I want us to see us coexist. And and AGI is a big deal.
And with that being said, mic drop from Zero Cool. This is Serial and Zero Cool, your favorite hackers from the 90s, signing out. You all have a beautiful weekend, and we'll be back next week. Later.
Cheers.